Hey, this is Jason Creel, and I just pulled up on a house where I've been called on to do some weed control on this lawn. So I want to show you the lawn and show you what my plan is to fix this lawn, because this lawn has some particular challenges that I want to draw your attention to, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do to the lawn today. Let's get started right now. Okay, here's the lawn, little kind of garden homes. Got a crepe myrtle in the front yard that's providing some shade issues. We primarily have bermuda grass in my area. This one actually has multiple grass types. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So you see the situation. The call came in, and it was, hey, Jason, my yard's full of dandelions. Can you kill the dandelions? And of course, I don't want to just come out and kill dandelions. I want to try to make the lawn look great. And so here's the situation. No doubt there are dandelions, but that's not the only weed here. You can see it's almost all weeds. So you got clover, you got, I seem like some wild strawberries, you got field madder, which is that one with a little purple flower on it. And there is Bermuda grass here. You can see the Bermuda, some of it's still blonde, and there's green shoots coming up. So a lot of issues over here. So that's kind of the front yard situation. Even a little bit of Dallas grass and stuff in this lawn. And then you come over here, another large crepe myrtle, exposed roots on a slight slope, erosion issues, clover for days, dandelions, Dallas grass. You know, it's just not an ideal situation. Over here, Japanese maple, which looks nice, but providing some serious shade issues, virtually no turf grass. Over here, another Japanese maple, another crepe myrtle, another Japanese maple. The neighbor has planted St. Augustine grass, so some of that St. Augustine has crept over here. So we got a little bit of St. Augustine on this side, a little bit trying to creep its way in right here. St. Augustine under these trees, but it's almost pure shade under here, so I don't expect much grass to grow here. Getting into the backyard, and you've got the St. Augustine. It's trying to make its way down here, and then it looks like we're getting into some wider blade zoysia, like a Myers zoysia or something like that. So Z52, and you got crepe myrtles here. So shade issues here. Now I would love if this was emerald zoysia right here, be more shade tolerant, but this is what she's got to work with. And in the backyard, you get into a lot of creeping Charlie. Okay, so that's what I see when I'm out here in this creeping Charlie. You know, it's all back here and very little turf grass. So I talked to the customer and said, hey, you know, we got to control the weeds, obviously, and that was their main concern. But I mean, and on this side, it's like we basically got carpet grass growing on the side of this hill. So and erosion problems, and you know, you see where the dirt's washed away, exposing that pipe. And but then you get to this little section, and you've got some, looks like emerald zoysia, and which is obviously doing the best on this hill with limited sunlight. So if the whole yard was this emerald zoysia, we'd be in business. You see how thick and healthy. I mean, it's got weeds too, nothing like the rest of the yard. So got emerald zoysia, got carpet grass, got St. Augustine, and of course in the front, probably what it was sodded with years ago, some struggling Bermuda choked out by weeds. So can we agree this yard has issues? So one thing we want to do in this situation is talk to the customer and explain to them this is never going to be a perfect yard. Okay, you got too many shade issues, got slope issues, multiple grass types. So we'll set the expectations. We're not going for perfection, but she's concerned about the weeds. So what can we do for the weeds? Well, I've got my spray tank here from Graham Spray Equipment, and I had about 70 gallons left on this side, and you know, it holds 300 on this side and 100 on the other side. And so I thought, well, I've already got a lot of expensive stuff mixed in here, to be honest with you. I got prodiamine mixed in here, which is my pre-emergent, but unfortunately the crabgrass is probably already germinated. I know at least a lot of it has. Maybe that prodiamine will help with some weeds that haven't germinated yet, but I don't know if it's going to do us a whole lot of good with the crabgrass. So I put Q-Ball in there, which has the active ingredient quinclorac, and you put it in there at 64 ounces per acre, and that's a post-emergent that can help with crabgrass and wild violets and things like that. Then I also got triplet in there. That's just a herbicide that's going to help with some broadleaf herbicides, and I put metsulfuron in there, which is a very inexpensive herbicide that can help with some of these tough weeds. Maybe it'll help with the field matter, the oxalis, or yellow wood sorrel, things like that. Well, when I got to the backyard, I thought, well, she's got creeping Charlie everywhere. I'm not sure anything I put in the tank's going to do much for the creeping Charlie. So once I only had 70 gallons in there, I said, well, I could put some change up in the tank also. Again, I don't want to make the mix more expensive, but I don't want to spray all that on there and not have such a little yard, not kill the creeping Charlie. So I just put 16 ounces per acre of change up in there, which what I had in there, 70 gallons, won't even cover an acre at the rate I'm applying it at. So it was like 13 ounces of change up going in the tank, which is not a very big expense for my sake. And again, I'm trying to get this yard cleaned up. It's got a lot of problems. So I got way too many products in there that I would rather have, and I don't want to intimidate you by all the products I'm putting in there. But hopefully the change up, if I'd have known I was going to put change up in there, I'd have probably just left the triplet out, left the metsulfuron out, maybe kept the metsulfuron in. But I could have definitely left the triplet out, because I think the change up in the metsulfuron would have been enough post-emergent that I wouldn't have needed the triplet. But I already had triplet in there, so I just couldn't take it out, if you know what I mean. So with the change up and metsulfuron, I think it's going to knock out this field matter. I think it's going to knock out the clover. I think it's going to do a number on the creeping Charlie. I mean, I think it's going to wipe out just about every weed in this lawn, including the dandelions, which is the one that she said, hey, my lawn's full of dandelions. And it does have quite a few now that I look at it. The customer, maybe on a little bit of a budget, didn't want to spend the money to fertilize right now. And so I told her, I said, well, I can come back and fertilize in June will be the next time I'm back through here fertilizing again. She said, all right, let's just do that. Well, now that I looked at the yard and I saw how thin it was, and it being a tiny yard, I had a little bit of fertilizer in a chest-mounted spreader that I use, and I just went ahead and threw it out for free as far as the fertilizer. I'm not going to charge her for that, but I wanted to get this Bermuda grass recovering as fast as possible. So I want to go ahead and get the process started of the recovery. I'll put more out in June and get that zoysia in the back going as good as possible. Now, I say as good as possible because I know that with the Bermuda grass on this slope underneath this crepe myrtle, that the Bermuda grass that's right here is probably not going to do that well. I mean, it's really going to struggle up here in between the house and the limbs. I mean, it's getting very limited sun. So I just, you know, it's going to be bare up here. I don't think you're going to get hardly any grass to grow. So she could get some emerald zoysia and put in that area, or just make it pine straw or mulch or something and give up on growing grass. But over here, where there's more sunlight, I do think that this Bermuda will fill in and recover and look nice. This side, we have virtually no chance of growing much grass at all, except for maybe this one little patch. Because of all the trees and all the shade. So just trying to control the weeds to some degree, but there's virtually no chance, except for a little bit back there where there's St. Augustine that can grow, where it's getting some sun. But in between those trees in the house, I don't think the grass is going to grow. We get a little bit to grow out here as you get closer to the road, some Bermuda, and may even could talk to her about possibly cutting off some of these lower limbs of the crepe myrtle. But again, it's a small yard, large crepe myrtle. If you know anything about crepe myrtles, I tell people don't plant one unless you want to keep it forever, because I don't know how in the world you'd get this thing up out of the ground without it keep putting up shoots out of the ground for the rest of your life. Bermuda grass, I'm sorry you get around here, you got the zoysia, by far the best grass we're going to be working with on this lawn. I don't see any reason why this shouldn't do fairly well, but as you get over here, it's just carpet grass. My goal is just not to kill the carpet grass, and it's got moss and everything else. Again, very little turf grass is going to grow back here. On the side, you get in the back, the emerald zoysia would be much more shade tolerant, in my opinion, than this Meyer zoysia or Z52. But we got it. What's here is what's here, and we're going to try to benefit that. So you can see the fertilizer I've already put out a little bit. You see those little teal colored pellets that I've already put out, and the St. Augustine grass. So all right, we're gonna spray it and Fertilizer kick in as the weather warms up. Hopefully we get some recovery, and then it's going to become apparently obvious that some areas of this lawn is not going to do well. At that point, she's going to have to consider getting some emerald zoysia sod in the areas that are not getting enough sunlight, or possibly limbing up or cutting down some trees if she wants the grass to be well. But I got a feeling that talking with her, she just wants the weeds under control, is not looking for a perfect lawn, so that's what we're going to do in this situation. Let's get to spraying the lawn. Now in a yard like this, one thing it's worth mentioning is when you've got all that stuff mixed in the tank, you're going to want to avoid the St. Augustine grass in this situation. What I sprayed, the zoysia and bermuda grass will be tolerant of. The St. Augustine's not going to like it too much, so just avoid that and deal with the weeds with just a post-emergent application of something that's more tolerant. So I could just use like a low rate of the change up or something like that on the St. Augustine, but avoid using this whole mix that I had mixed up in my tank. This is just a little bit unique situation with a yard that's covered in weeds, trying to get rid of it, and then putting some fertilizer out to try to get it recover, and also trying to balance multiple grass types in the same yard can be a challenge. Obviously some shade issues, some erosion issues, multiple grass type issues, challenging weed issues, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing to the lawn. We'll come back later on and I'll be able to see what kind of progress the yard is making. Again, it's not going to grow grass. We're in the shade, really shady areas, but hopefully control the weeds and get the grass to grow where it's getting at least some sunlight. You can't fix every yard, but you can try to help it reach its potential at least. I'm Jason Creel. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. There's over 900 videos on the channel. You can also check out my new channel, Fix a Lawn, where I'm going after overgrown, nasty yards from a mowing perspective, hopefully a weed control perspective as well. And if you're in the lawn business or thinking about joining one, go to lawncarelife.com. There's resources, video courses, documents, all kind of stuff at lawncarelife.com. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.